Hello, hello. Come on in. I'm just getting everything ready.
People who live in manufactured homes.
Let's see. Just give me 1 second. I'm getting everything set up. I'm sorry it's so late, everybody. It's been one of those days, but I did want to get this out. This is one of the first hearings of Kelli Marie Bryant. Hey, Doug. Hey, Lovey Bugs. And this is one of the first court appearances that she made. And as you can see in the thumbnail of this, in the start of this video, she's all smiles. So that's cute. But yeah, so I'm not going to go really late today, but I did want to go over this because she is getting ready to go back to court again. Now her attorney, and I'll show that too, her attorney has filed a motion to have her reevaluated by a psychiatrist because she now says, literally, like, I believe it was only a couple days before the trial, that now she believes her client is not mentally fit enough to make her own decisions about her own defense. And the judge was not happy, so I'll show after we watch this. I'll show the clip of that. It was, the judge knows what's going on, you know. I mean, it's not her first rodeo, probably, most likely, and it just seems like a stall tactic. But the odd thing is that Kelli didn't even know that her lawyer was doing this. So and then there were a couple things on X after, just to wrap everything up, that we're going to go over and just kind of peek at about the Nancy Guthrie case that are nothing groundbreaking, but just some interesting things that have, you know, come out in the past couple weeks. So, all right, I'm going to play this. Go ahead and watch with me and comment away. Tell me what you think.
The case number 250216LY, and also case number 250310L1.
Good morning, Your Honor. Erica Smith appearing on behalf of the people for the welfare fraud case.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tamika appearance on behalf of the people.
And good morning, Your Honor. Celia Karen on behalf of Ms. Bryant on both cases.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ben Gannon on behalf of Ms. Bryant on behalf of the child abuse case.
And Ms. Bryant, could you state your name for the record, please?
Kelli Bryant.
Thank you. This is the time and date for preliminary exams on both cases. As to the welfare fraud case, Ms. Smith?
Yes, Your Honor. It's my understanding that we are going to have a waiver on that case. I think our inclination is to have the child abuse exam go first, make sure that that's bound over or is at least concluded, and then waive on the welfare fraud case, just to keep the two cases together. So however the court wants to do that, that was our thought, but if the court has a different suggestion, we're obviously open to that as well.
That would be fine if there's no objection.
There's no objection, Your Honor. We just like to keep everything together.
All right, that's fine. So I'll circle back to that at the conclusion of the child abuse case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. As to the child abuse matter, parties are ready to move forward?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there any preliminary matters for the record?
Yes, Your Honor. The parties are asking for a mutual sequestration order. I do have Detective Brish, who is officer in charge in this case. I asked for him to remain. And I have the first witness, Deputy Curtis, who's in the courtroom right now.
No objection.
I will note mutual sequestration of witnesses until they're called. Officer in charge of the state.
Thank you, Your Honor. Secondly, because the victims in this case are children, we are asking for their names to not be said today in court. My suggestion would be to label them as the oldest child, the middle child, and the youngest, just to protect them.
And Your Honor, we spoke about this before. We have no desire for their names to be repeated in court over and over again, so we're in agreement. And
Because they are minor children, court can agree with that as well.
thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. There was stipulations to the exhibits for purposes of examination only. I do have photographs of the home. They're labeled as People's Exhibits 1 through 20. I do have them on a USB for the court. And I also have hard copies of the pictures. Secondly, the 21 and 24 of the People's Exhibit are the forensic interviews of the victims in this case. So there are 3 forensic interviews that were conducted at Care House. And we are asked if there's a stipulation for them to be admitted in for purposes of exam only for in-camera review.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And I will note the stipulation to the admission, that's for the exhibits as well. Ms. Mariano.
Yes,
1 through 20, also stipulation for the admission of 21 and 24 for purposes of the preliminary examination.
yes.
For
Thank you, Your Honor. And then lastly, there were some stipulations to facts in this case. First, that Kelli Bryant is the mother of the named victims and that she had custody over them.
That's correct.
Second, that all the 3 named victims are under the age of 18.
That is also correct.
And third, that Kelli Bryant was named on the lease of 660 Lydia Avenue in the city of Pontiac.
That is also correct.
court will accept those stipulations as facts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other preliminary matters you ready?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
People will call the first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people called Deputy Curtis.
Deputy, if you will come forward, the House hearing. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Don't you please proceed? You can proceed when ready.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, Deputy. Deputy, are you employed?
Yes.
Where are you employed?
Overtime
You have
insurance.
to put his name on the record, spell the last name.
Oh, I apologize. Could you state and spell your name?
Deputy Quincy Curtis, QUINCY CURTIS.
Thank you. Where are you employed?
County Sheriff's Office, Pontiac Substation.
And how long have you been in the Pontiac substation?
Just under 6 years.
And what's your current position there?
Patrol deputy.
Okay, can you walk me through what you do in that role?
I patrol the city of Pontiac, answer calls for service.
Okay. And were you working on February 14, 2025 around 1:30 p.m.?
Yes.
And were you dispatched to 660 Lydia Lane?
Yes.
And is that in the city of Pontiac,
Yes.
County of Oakland?
Yes.
What was the nature of the dispatch?
There's a welfare check.
And did you arrive at 660 Lydia Lane?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you observe upon arrival?
Upon arrival, I made contact with the landlord for the residence. He asked us to do a welfare check. He hasn't heard from the tenant in some time. Hadn't received payment sometime, so he was requesting a welfare check.
From your understanding, had there been an attempt for a welfare check earlier?
The day prior.
Was it successful? Do you know the circumstances of why it wasn't successful?
Yeah, deputies on scene weren't able to see anything inside, weren't able to gain access. Landlord came back the following day with the locksmith.
Okay. And what, if anything, did the locksmith do?
He was able to open the residence.
Can you describe what the residence looks like for the court?
It is an apartment style townhouse with a garage underneath the residence. Where we were inside was through the garage, which with the residence would be upstairs above the garage.
And the locksmith was able to open the garage, correct?
Correct.
Upon walking in, what, if anything, did you observe?
I observed a large mold stain coming through the ceiling of the garage, which had been right under the residence. Through the garage door that was open, I immediately observed trash and feces all over the floor and a very extreme foul smell coming from the apartment.
And the garage is attached to the unit, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you enter the unit?
Yes.
Initial observations upon entering?
Right away, I observed a staircase to my left, a bedroom over to the right. I observed just trash piled everywhere. Feces and cobwebs throughout the entire downstairs and garbage trail all the way up the stairs.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness with the stipulated exhibits?
You may.
Thank you. I'm going to hand you the admitted exhibits 1 through 20. If you could look at the first picture, what do we see in that picture?
First picture would be the entrance to the garage.
Okay. And exhibit 2, what are we looking at?
The inside of the garage.
And walk us through the next picture.
That is just through the garage door from picture 2, with the staircase on the left and the bedroom door on the right, and the piles of trash on the floor.
What else did you notice on the staircase itself beyond the garbage?
I will notice there was feces up the staircase as well.
Okay. And then ultimately, did you walk up the
I
stairway?
did.
What, if anything, did you observe when you walked up the stairway?
When I got to the top of the stairway, I observed, well, I reached, it was a living area. There was a couch in the middle that had trash piled on top of it, almost 4 feet in the air. Pizza boxes all over the place. There was just piles of feces. There was cobwebs hanging from the ceiling that you had to walk through.
Would you identify that? How would you identify that area that you're walking in? Was that the living space?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And then what did the living space, did it connect to any other parts of the home?
The living space connected to the kitchen. It was just kind of a follow-on room, which then had multiple bedrooms and half them all were the same.
Okay, starting with the kitchen, what were some of your observations within the kitchen?
Counters were completely covered in trash. Sink is covered in trash. There was cobwebs from the ceiling almost all the way down to the counters. Feces throughout the kitchen as well.
When you refer to trash, were they in trash bags? What were you looking at?
Just empty pizza boxes, empty food wrappers, just piled up.
Was there any odor while you were walking through the home?
Yes, it was very foul. Our initial thought was we were checking the apartment for a dead body.
Now, you testified that there were also bedrooms that were in that living space or connected to that living space. Can you describe the bedrooms? How many were there?
I believe there's 3 bedrooms. They all appear to be the same. Lots of trash. Both bathrooms were covered in trash and feces as well.
Were there beds in those bedrooms?
One of them.
And how about the bed? Was there a bed set on that? How do you describe the bed?
There was a mattress on the bed frame. The mattress was stained and extremely dirty, had wrappers on it, wrappers all around it.
Okay. At any point were you attempting to clear the home?
Yes.
Can you describe to the court what clearing the home means?
Just ensuring that there's no dead body inside. We're trying to look and make sure that find anybody that might be inside.
While you were doing that, did anything unusual happen?
Yes.
What, if anything, happened?
As I was going through the living area, I came to a door on my right. I went to go open it and it was locked. I saw 2 more doors past that. As I began to go to the other 2 doors, I heard crying from inside that locked door.
Did it sound like crying from a number of people or one person? What did it sound like?
At the time, I believed it was multiple children.
What, if anything, did you do at that time?
At that time, I turned back around and addressed that locked door. I let them know I was the police, that I was not going to hurt them. They were safe, but they needed to come outside so we could check on their welfare.
Did they?
At first, they did not come outside. I was giving them multiple orders to come outside. At that time, a door from the bedroom behind me opened, and the oldest child exited that bedroom. He had his hands up in the air, and he identified himself to us. I told him to tell the children to come outside, which he ordered them to come outside.
Okay. Now, what were your initial observations of the oldest child?
Oldest child, he came out without a shirt on. He had blue pants on that were covered in dirt. I observed his toenails to be extremely long. He was having a hard time walking straight.
What was his demeanor when you approached him?
Nervous. He was talking very fast, and he seemed frightened.
And ultimately, was he able to get the other children out of the bathroom?
Yes.
What did you observe happening?
The bathroom door opened, and I observed two females, children in the bathroom. They appeared hunched over. They were connected, their arms were connected. They were staying very close to each other. They would just cry. I couldn't really understand what they were trying to say. They were both looking down and wouldn't look at us, and they kept their arms tight to their chest.
Did you see the bathroom that they exited from?
Yes, after I got them to, after several minutes of getting them to come out of the bathroom, I did check it.
Describe what the bathroom looked like, please.
The bathroom was completely filled with trash and feces on the floor. The toilet was completely filled up to the brim with feces, and they were coming off the top. The bathroom tub had feces in it as well.
Do you know where the children were in the bathroom when they weren't coming out? Like where in the bathroom they were hiding?
I don't know for sure where they were at. I did hear the shower curtain that was connected to the tub move before they exited.
What happened next after they got out of the bathroom?
We had all three of the children together, and we were in the living space at that time. We were going to go have them have a seat in the patrol car so we could figure out what was going on, and I instructed them to start walking downstairs.
Anything noteworthy of them walking down the stairs?
Yes, all three of them appeared to have a hard time walking. The two younger children were very hunched over, again, keeping their arms tight to their body. They appeared to just hold hands or stay connected at all times. They were extremely uncomfortable with deputies walking behind them. They would turn to the side and do a side shuffle. They wouldn't walk, they wouldn't turn their backs to us. So they were walking like back to back down the stairs.
And is this referring to the middle child and the youngest child? Describe the scene to the court. How many deputies were in the home at this time?
After we got down to the garage, there was at least 10 deputies there at this time.
Did you attempt to calm the children down?
Yes.
Were you successful in doing that?
Not very much.
Okay, why do you say that?
They just did not appear to become any more calm. They were very frightened. It appeared they hadn't had interaction with other people.
Okay. Did you speak to them?
I did.
Who did you speak to in particular?
I spoke to all three.
Okay. Now, starting with the oldest child, where did you speak to him?
I had him have a seat.
I'm just going to pause for a minute because I know there's some people in here that haven't heard some of the stories about this. That's the big question. Neighbors had no idea. I don't know about friends, family. None of them asked, apparently. Doctor, they didn't see the doctor. But the school, now Sheriff Bouchard, who is the Oakland County Sheriff, he has now, since this case happened, been lobbying to try and get some laws changed and some different protocols taken at schools. But what had happened was they were enrolled in, I believe it was Pontiac schools originally. She unenrolled them because she said they were moving and they were going to a new school district, whatever district this townhouse was in. But she failed to, because of COVID, whatever, to send them to school. This all happened right around COVID. And so when the school year started the next year and the kids didn't show up, the new school figured, either they moved or they didn't come or they stayed at the other school, never checked. The old school, because they were unregistered, believed that they were attending the new school. Nobody ever checked. So he's trying to introduce some bills and get them so that schools have to have a system in place to where if a child's unregistered or hasn't been seen, that they check, that they do welfare checks, that they call the new school that they're supposed to be at and make sure that they're registered. And that's just it. When you see the pictures of this house, I don't know how people couldn't smell that, because literally they had a garbage truck. They had garbage trucks pull out in front of the house and people in hazmat having to take just piles and bags of pizza boxes out of there because that's what the kids were sleeping on. The boy had a mattress in one of the bedrooms, but it was completely covered up with human disgust. And the girl slept on pizza boxes. Just, how do you do that? How do you walk away like that? And the other sad part is their father, the father of the three that were left, actually wanted them. And she refused.
In the back of my car, and then I spoke in there.
Okay. Did you ask him when Miss Bryant was, or where his mom was?
I did.
What, if anything, did you learn?
The oldest child informed me that he lives at the apartment.
You're not gonna object to hearsay at this time.
Your Honor, I believe this would fall under MRE 8031, present tense impression. It's a statement describing the condition or the event while it was immediately happening.
Your Honor, I guess for purposes of exam, it's probably appropriate on the present sense impression.
I understand the nature of the objection, but it would be permitted.
Thank you. Continue, please.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Did you ask him when the last time that the defendant lived in the home?
I did 2020 to 2021.
Did he make any other statements to you?
He informed me that he was there along with his two sisters.
Did you speak with the middle child?
Yes.
Where did you speak to her?
Also in the backseat of a different patrol car.
Did she make any statements to you?
I was just trying to get the names of the two of them. The two youngest were together in the back of the car. They were having a hard time spelling their names to me. They had to consult each other to tell me their names.
Did you ask them for their dates of birth?
I did.
Were they able to provide that to you?
After some time of consulting each other, they were.
What happened after they were placed in the patrol cars? They were sitting there.
I was very concerned for their welfare. I called Star EMS to come to the scene to check on them.
Why were you scared for their welfare?
Based off of my observations inside that apartment, I didn't think it was a suitable place for anybody to be living.
Did Star EMS arrive?
They did.
And were the children, were they transported to a hospital?
They were.
Which hospital?
McLaren Oakland in downtown Pontiac.
And did you follow the ambulance?
I did.
Did you go inside the hospital?
Yes.
Can you describe the children when they were in the hospital?
Yes. We took them out of the patrol cars, walked them inside. They were still having a very difficult time walking, hunched over. Arms.
Would you say that's for all, I apologize, would you say that's for all three of the children or specific children?
Specifically the younger two, with the hunched over arms to the chest.
What happened after that?
They walked them inside. They went to the emergency department first, where they had their vitals checked. Nurses in the ER were also concerned that they hadn't had hygiene supplies in some time. So the children were transported upstairs, provided showers and general hygiene.
Did you, What did the children do with those hygiene supplies?
They were able to take a shower, brush their teeth, use the bathroom.
Is there anything noteworthy or anything that you noticed while they were provided those supplies?
Yes, the nurses were informing us that they were having.
Yeah, and I'm gonna object to your saying, I don't think that qualifies.
They want to rephrase the question.
Of course.
That's the thing.
Did you make any observations of the children using the supplies, the hygiene supplies?
I made an observation of the children having a hard time flushing the toilet. They didn't understand how to flush the toilet.
And anything noteworthy about toothbrush and toothpaste?
They're just unfamiliar.
Were the children offered food at the hospital?
They were.
Anything noteworthy that happened when food arrived?
They did not eat at first. They waited until all three of them were together. The two youngest asked permission of the older brother if they were allowed to eat, and then they would only eat if everyone stepped out of the room.
How long would you say that you were at the hospital?
Several hours.
What happened where were you, I guess, while they were at the hospital?
I was just trying to make them the most comfortable, so I was standing outside of the room. I contacted CPS, and I was just waiting for their arrival.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor. Did you make any observations of the bathroom after the children brushed their teeth,
I don't recall.
specifically in the sink? Any observations?
I remember the sink had blood in it.
Now, going back to 660 Lydia Avenue, when you were doing the walkthrough of the condo, did you see any hygiene products in the home?
I don't recall seeing anything.
Any toilet paper?
I don't recall.
And were the children wearing shoes in the home when you assessed them?
No.
Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Daniel or Mr. Guthrie?
Thank you. Good morning. Deputy Curtis, the photos that you referenced, that you went through and identified, when were those taken?
They were taken after the children were transported to the hospital.
And do you know how many deputies had already walked through that home when the photos were taken?
I don't know the exact number.
More than 10?
I'm not positive. I left
Oh, okay, so you left and followed EMS to the hospital? Okay. How many deputies were on scene at the time that you left?
around 10 probably.
Okay, and did they all go inside the home?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Now, you indicated then when you first entered the home and you attempted to see, go do the walkthrough and see if anybody was in there, you then heard the voices from the one bathroom. Is that where you heard the cries from, or?
Crying, correct.
Okay, and then were you calling out for those children to come out?
Yes,
And did they respond to you at all?
they continue crying.
Okay, and then did the oldest child, you stated he came out of a bedroom, correct?
Correct.
Did he come out upon command, or did he just come out on his own?
He came out.
On his own?
Correct.
Okay, and then he told his sisters to then exit as well, correct?
Correct, I instructed him to.
Okay, and he followed that command, correct?
Yes,
And he asked his sisters to come out,
yes,
and then did they come out?
yes,
And you already testified that they looked frightened, correct?
yes,
And you would agree with me, you were a stranger to them?
Yes,
You had never met these children before. All right, and you were in your law enforcement uniform?
yes,
All right, so they would have seen that you were a police officer, correct?
correct.
And would you agree with me, if you know, do you know if anyone had ever been called to this home before? Meaning, is there a history of police interaction with this home?
Besides, like we mentioned the day prior, I'm not positive.
Okay. And so, to your knowledge, it wouldn't be an ordinary thing to have police officers or deputies at that particular home, correct?
Correct.
It would be something unfamiliar to these children?
Yes,
And how long had you been a deputy for?
just under 6 years.
And is it common for folks to be frightened or upset when they see the police or interact with the police?
I would say situation,
Okay. So it happens, correct?
correct.
All right. Not everybody is happy or excited to see you. Is that correct?
Correct.
And some are frightened.
Right.
Now, after transporting the children to the hospital, you were speaking to these children, correct, all along?
Yes.
And did they seem to understand what you were telling them?
Yes.
And were they speaking back to you? Were they responding to you?
Softly, yes.
Okay, but they had appropriate words, correct?
Yes.
And they could, I guess, have an appropriate conversation with you, if that makes sense.
Somewhat, yes.
Okay. And you arrived to the hospital, and the children went in and they were offered hygiene products, correct?
Yes.
And I'm assuming you were not present when they actually took showers. Is that fair?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and nobody else was either. Is that correct?
The nurses at the hospital.
The nurses were there. Okay, and the children took their showers and they put on different clothes, correct?
Yes.
And were they interacting with the nurses as well?
Yes.
All right, and they were verbal with them and speaking to them, correct?
Yes.
And was this consistent throughout the time that you were there? Meaning that they were communicating?
It was on and off.
Okay. And you also indicated that the sisters, or the middle child and the youngest child, they were talking to each other about when their birthdays were,
They were
but they were able to give you the information.
eventually.
And it was the correct information?
I believe so.
And what about the oldest? Was he able to provide his details?
Yes.
You were not in there when they, I guess, brushed their teeth, or you indicated that there was some blood in the sink. You don't know how that arrived there. Is that fair?
I went in the bathroom after the fact.
And you didn't watch what was going on. Is that fair? Did the children eat?
Yes.
And what did they eat?
Little Caesar's pizza.
Okay, is that what they requested?
They did request that.
So they were able to communicate to you what they'd like to eat. Is that correct?
Yes.
May I have one moment, Cameron? I have nothing else. Thank you, Deputy.
Picture about that, which just shows what a piece of junk she is.
Sorry, that was the rest of that video from yesterday that we were watching. But yeah, no, there is zero excuse. And I'm trying to find the video, which I will find and I'll show it tomorrow, of how she had her kids listed in her phone. Like, it was something, and don't quote me because this isn't, but it was something like akin to where he had like mommy or something like that, and she had like boy 1, girl 1, girl 2, or something like that in her phone. I mean, it was, and the only time she texted them was when he would text and ask for food, and she'd have like DoorDash or something dropped off. And meanwhile, she wasn't living, we don't know where she was living, they haven't said, but it wasn't too far from where they were. And so that is, let me see if I can find, because there are think it was in one of my shorter videos. This Crumblies. See, part of this too that went on was around the same time that the Crumblies, which were the Oxford shooters' parents, were trying to go back in and get retrials. So I think a lot of this got overshadowed by all of that. So let me see, is this the video? Oh, this is just the video going through, which, let me see. This shows some of their kind of, let me share this.
Hi there, and happy Friday. Today I have for us first, I have a case update on.
And just like I said, these are old videos from when I first started following this case, so it don't rely on the dates and stuff like that. This all happened last year. So this was from 8 months ago. We won't watch the whole thing, but it's got some of the things about what happened in her next court appearance.
A case I've been following since February. And it's a local-ish case. I mean, I live in Michigan, and this is down in
Oh no, her DoorDashes were like pizza. She'd have like a pizza delivered. She wasn't buying them actual food. And then towards the end, it was just every 3 to 4 days she'd have, like Instacart or whatever, drop off a loaf of bread for 3 kids, a 15-year-old boy. And I mean, I know he probably wasn't eating like a regular 15-year-old boy, but my kid was eating. We had a house and home at 15, and but yeah, no, it wasn't expensive for her, and she was using their food stamps because she's also charged with 3 counts of welfare fraud because she was getting food stamps and everything for them, but not buying the food for them, using it for herself and probably whatever boyfriend she had.
Pontiac, which is a bit away from me, but still too close for comfort. If you're new here, I've got if you go into my playlist and look up Kelli Marie Bryant, I've got a playlist that throws out everything from the very beginning of when the incident happened or was caught to Pontiac, Michigan. And on February 14th of 2025, there was a welfare check done on her home because she hadn't paid rent in months. And when police got there, they found 3 children, ages 15, 11, and 12, that had all been abandoned there from what they soon found out had been almost 4.5 years, and that their mother was living not far away, comfortable, clean, hair done, and she was dropping off food. She had not even spoken face to face to her children since 2019. It was a horrible, horrible case, and she is back in court. She was back in court last week, and so I've got the full. Well, I cut out the silent parts and I cut out the end part where she was walking out because we don't need to see that. But I've got the court hearing loaded up, and let's watch, and I'll go over it with you.
50, case number 2025-293-649-MC, case number 2025-293-653-FH.
Exactly, Doug. But that's just it. She's what they say, innocent until proven guilty, and everybody gets the benefit. This has been a year. She should have never gotten out of jail. She actually got in trouble when she first was in jail because she was not supposed to contact the children or their caregiver And apparently their caregiver was the grandfather. And she called, but what was reported by the grandfather and by other friends, well, first she called herself, got in trouble for that. And then she had a friend call them from, basically with that thing where, the person in jail calls somebody and then they call third party someone else. And she wasn't calling to talk about her children. She was calling to ask when they were going to get her bailed out, because that was her first worry. When was she going to get bailed out? Because she was uncomfortable in jail, where she was actually living better than her children had for the past 4 years. But poor Kelli Bryant.
The People versus Kelli Bryant.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Nika Barrett on behalf of the people. Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is Celia Karen Hongo on behalf and with Kelli Bryant.
Thank you.
With me in court.
Can you please state your name for the record? Kelli Bryant. Thank you. I have this matter scheduled for a pretrial on both files. The file ending in 649 and the file ending in 653. I did receive a motion to quash that was pressed for hearing yesterday. I've now had an opportunity to review your response, so I'm going to...
Let's stop here and let me explain to you what motion to quash is. A motion to quash is a formal request to a court to invalidate a legal proceeding or document, such as a subpoena, arrest warrant, or complaint. It challenges the document's legal validity or sufficiency. How it works. The party filing the motion must present arguments and evidence to the court, and the court will then decide whether to grant or deny the motion. Consequences. If the motion is granted, the document or proceeding is deemed invalid. If denied, the legal action remains in effect.
Response. So I'm going to rule on that motion today. I haven't prepared a written opinion in order. My staff attorney will do that, just a brief opinion in order, but I'm very comfortable. I've had an opportunity to review your motion and brief, your response motion and brief, and more importantly for today's decision-making, the transcript that was attached. I had an opportunity to review the entirety of the transcript. So I am respectfully going to be preparing a written opinion denying the defendant's motion to quash. There's no question in the court's mind that to a probable cause standard, that the testimony that was presented in front of Judge Walker supported that the crime was committed and that to a probable cause standard, she committed it. The issues that you rose specifically with.
See, that's exactly how I felt. I'm like, they sent them to the people that didn't bother to check on them for 4 years. And what I'm hoping now, this judge has pretty much just gotten sick and tired of her, and this lawyer, you can tell. So what I'm hoping is it's kind of like the Darrell Brooks case, where they're basically saying, okay, here, we're giving you everything. So at the end of this, you can't say that you had every opportunity to have a fair trial. And I hope, and they just recently dropped the 3 charges of welfare fraud, which I hope means that they are going to go hard at her for the neglect and abuse. I hope. And I don't care. We were talking, Lovey was saying earlier, about, was it Lovey or what you guys were saying earlier about, this isn't insane. Like, no, this is not insane. This is just being a selfish, self-absorbed monster, because she knew to hide it. She knew to not let people know. That's not insane. That's very calculated. That's someone who knows, who wants to cover their own behind. And just wait. I believe this video has pictures of her in it. She's like an OnlyFans model. I mean, she's perfect hair, perfect outfit, perfect nails, while her kids are literally living in a home that is dirtier than a dairy farm barn. I mean, come on, lady.
With regard to serious mental harm to a probable cause standard, were supported at the district court level. So I'm respectfully finding that Judge Walker did not abuse her discretion and denied the motion.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
So the judges denied her motion to quash. What they're basically saying is that they believe that the testimony that was given previously at the show of cause hearings to show that there was a reason that they wanted to charge Kelli Marie Bryant with 3 charges of second-degree child abuse, which she deserves, and 3 counts of welfare fraud. She's trying to say that this other judge was abusing her power and that there was not enough proof that she's done this or that she caused a certain degree of harm to her children that warranted them charging her with second-degree child abuse. Now, at one of the hearings and through one of the testimonies from a doctor, they were questioning this doctor if they literally questioned her, well, the kids were fine. They seemed mentally all right, didn't they? So that's kind of one of her defenses, that I did this, but they're all right, so it's okay. And to me, it just goes to show why something like this happened in the first place with someone like her. She's not taking accountability. Well, her children slept on pizza boxes and ate bread for dinner, lunch, and breakfast. She was getting her hair and her nails done. But she believes that there was no mental harm, that, they're okay now. And she really has not taken any accountability. In fact, that was part of the testimony. I believe that she's trying to get out from underneath, was testimony from detectives saying that she says, okay, well, what do I have to do to get myself out of this? It was all about herself. Even when she was caught calling the caregiver of her children, it was found that it was about her. If you all remember, her first week in jail, she got in trouble because part of her conditions were she was not to contact the caregiver of the children, or she would get certain privileges taken away. And that is exactly what happened. And this happened because she called the person that is taking care of her children, which is her father. But this is the sad thing. She didn't ask how the children were. She asked about her bail money. That says so much to me. But I'm going to try not to go on a tangent on this one. Let's finish this up.
Anything that can happen, that's kind of a shift, so you weren't expecting necessarily.
I've been checking the ROA literally up until right now.
So in terms of a meaningful pretrial, I'm assuming you've had at least some conversations. If it goes this way, then, or if it goes
not really on.
The definition of a pretrial, for anyone that doesn't know, these are hearings that are court proceedings where the judge may address various matters, including whether the defendant intends to plead guilty or go to trial, whether a jury trial is desired, and any other motions related to legal issues. Very similar to, we saw one that a lot of us have a lot of emotions about. It's Brian Kohlberger, where he accepted a plea agreement. Continuing on.
Not really on.
Okay. Intention to do that?
Yes.
Okay. So should I set it for another pretrial in maybe a week, 2 weeks, to give you an opportunity to talk about the fact that that ruling has been made and the charges stand at the time being?
Yes. And 1 week is no good for me. So if it could be, if it's at 1:30, I just need to check if that's okay.
I think it makes the most sense to conduct this at 1:30. I think it makes the most sense. Could we have a date at least 2 weeks out at 1:30 to have a meaningful pretrial?
That would be Thursday, July 24th.
Judge, can I just check my calendar?
Yes, please do.
Thank you.
Ms. Harris, please check yours. And then you can both tell me, does this give you enough time? I want it to be meaningful.
I'm just going to tell the court that I think we're going to probably pursue an interlocutory appeal. I just need to talk to Mr. Gonick too. He's out of town this week. So if that's what...
The definition of an interlocutory appeal is, or an interim appeal, occurs when a ruling by a trial court is appealed while other aspects of the case are still proceeding. The rules governing how and when interlocutory appeals may be taken vary by jurisdiction. So they're basically appealing this judge's decision before the end of the trial. Most appeals happen after the decision has been made. This is a form of an appeal that can happen in the middle of a trial at any time.
So if that's what we're doing, it would not be a meaningful pretrial in 2 weeks. So I don't know if the court wants to schedule it, and I can let the court know he returns on Friday, or tomorrow.
I will set it.
Meaningful pretrial, the definition, is a pretrial conference or hearing that is productive and focused on resolving the case efficiently, either through settlement or by clarifying and narrowing the issues for trial. It's more than just a formality. It's an opportunity for parties to make real progress towards a resolution or preparation for a trial. So basically, they're saying if they intend on filing this interlocutory appeal or anything else, then it's best that they do that beforehand so that they don't have to either go to the date that's originally supposed to be the pretrial and have things pushed and pushed and pushed. Meaningful means productive, meaning we've got all of our ducks in a row and we're going to go and now we're going to decide, are we going forward with trial? Are we accepting a plea bargain? Yada, yada.
Tomorrow.
I will set it for a pretrial on July 24th, but out of respect for everybody's time, let us know if you are filing.
Yes, John, and the afternoon is fine on the 24th if we're doing a pretrial.
Let's do July 24th at 1 p.m., please. And a note from pretrial supervision is good, I believe. Let me make sure.
I haven't received anything there. So.
She's been compliant with her weekly check-ins, did not incur any GPS tether violations, and understands the terms of her bond. No assaultive conduct, no contact with minors, no contact with minor victims or their caregivers, direct or indirect, home confinement tether except for medical emergencies, court or court-ordered testing, no travel without specific permission of the court, employment if verified. But at this point in time, is she employed?
She's not, Yana, and that was going to be one of my questions for the court because she does need to look for employment. And I just wanted to make sure that if she was to interview somewhere, that she was allowed to go do that. When she comes to my office, we let pretrial services know, and that hasn't been a problem. I just wanted to make sure that if she needed to travel somewhere for an interview for employment, that would be okay with the court.
She can travel for an interview with permission ahead of time.
Yes, no, that's what we've done, and it's working out so far. They've been good.
We will see you July 24th. Thank you, folks. Thanks for
Okay, well, there you have it. That's the latest update on Kelli Marie Bryant.
So yeah, that was it with the court stuff. She said she's back. She's supposed to be going. Oh, let me see.
The Pontiac mother charged with abandoning her 3 children for several years was back in court this morning. Kelli Bryant allegedly left her children by themselves for more than 3 years alone in a condo in Pontiac, and in what the prosecutor calls filthy conditions. Gino Vici was inside that.
No, this isn't it. But I can't find it. Anyway, she was back in court because, no, this is criminal court. This is in criminal court, so she's in deep doo-doo. Let me see. They start out organized and then everything just gets blown up. Let's see. I had had everything like all ready to go, and then boom, it refreshed on me, and now I can't find it. There you go. Just trying to find that Michael Ruiz because he seems to be really. He's on that University of Alabama student that went missing. Another one. Show you this. Jimmy Gracie was last seen at the waterfront bar and restaurant, Choco, which bills itself as the world's 7th best nightclub and the top one in Spain. He left around 3 a.m. local time on March 17th. So this is Jimmy Gracie. He's been missing. So let's see. Armstrong. Is this the right one? Maybe he changed his picture. I'm trying to find it. Any of you guys here? Hi, Wyoming. Yeah, no, she's not at appeals yet. They still haven't gotten. She still hasn't even gotten to trial. And it's just, that's what they're trying to do, that interlocutory appeal, but I believe we haven't heard anything about that since. So this is the problem, is that there's no one news source that like goes out there and is following this constantly. So they keep missing like chunks of the trial. And I've been trying to go through the Oakland County records, but all I keep finding is old stuff. So Michigan's real funny about some of their public information. I sure hope so. Oh, and that's what I think. Yeah, the attorney knows that if she testifies, she's a dead duck. If she doesn't testify, she's a dead duck. Because if she doesn't testify, it shows she just doesn't care. If she does testify, it will, in my opinion, because of the way that she's talked previously to investigators and interviewers, is it will also prove that she just doesn't care. Like, I don't think that she's, you know, I mean, of course, someone's not okay if they would do this to a child. But like I said, she knew how to hide them. She knew how to think about herself. She knew how to call and try and find out if she could get bail. She knew to use someone else to call that family member to try and hide the fact that she was calling them, which she wasn't supposed to. She lost all of her electronic devices for a week and then came back to court crying about it. Well, what do you expect? I do think, though, I can't believe that anybody would see, but see, because that's all they have, is to attack the process. Because exactly, the facts. You can't get around those facts. You can't get around those pictures. Even if you didn't have pictures, the fact that someone left 3 small children like that. And we talked about it last night. There could have been a fire. There could have been a storm. The power could have gone out. The furnace could have gone out. Carbon monoxide. I mean, all the things that us as adults, when we have a family in a home, are always trying to be vigilant about keeping safe. She left them. She didn't care. And I don't know who was in here yesterday at the time or not. But one of the things that both the prosecutor and the sheriff said is that the young man, when they interviewed him, They asked, did you ever go outside? And he said, only twice. He was afraid. He didn't want to let his mother down. He said he only went outside twice. Once was to get the mail. And that was like right when they first had been left. And the second time was about, it would be 3 years ago now. He went outside. He snuck outside because he wanted to touch the grass. This little boy was left in charge of his two young sisters. And the fact that that DA is trying to say that's what really got me during that trial. And she's like, well, they answered you, didn't they? Yeah, they answered me. They answered you correctly, right? Yes, Karen and Onondaga. So that just must mean they're fine. They're fine because they could talk. What about their toenails? What about the fact that they didn't know how to use soap? And that's what, see, they did not broadcast the doctor's testimony, but there were some snippets about some of the things that the doctor had said, and the doctor said they did not know how to take a shower. They didn't know how to wash their hair. They didn't know how to work a toilet or a sink. I mean, well, that's it. I mean, my God, exactly, Doug. I cannot believe it is literally by the grace of God that these three children walked out of that house and were physically basically okay. I mean, you know, we don't know, they're minors, so you won't know their medical records, but I mean, that's a miracle. That's a miracle. And what, though, are the rest of these kids' lives going to be like? Like, a lot of people were saying, oh, well, I'm so glad there was somebody that loves them and takes care of them now. Yeah, but where were they for these 4 years? I have a problem with that. I have a problem that nobody said, hey, I haven't seen my grandchildren in like 2 years. I'm stopping by. Or, hey, they haven't been here for Easter. Her dad was a well-known pastor in the area. I mean, when the father came forward and said that he wanted the kids, why not just give them to him? Well, because see, if she didn't, she wouldn't get the cash assistance and she wouldn't have gotten the food stamps that she got for these children. Because we've seen pictures. She's got her nails done. She's got her hair done. She's got on nice clothes, clean clothes. She looks very clean. Oh, I'm sure she would. Because that's all she's cared about from the beginning. How does this affect me? What do I need to do to get myself out of this? Nothing. Well, there's one thing, but I'm not going to say that. I just can't imagine. When this case first came up, I remember sitting there and just looking at my sons and realizing, like, are there days as a mom when I am exhausted and I feel like just saying, you know what? Deal with it with yourself and walking out the front door. Yeah, every mom, every parent has that day some days. I'm done. But you don't actually do it. You say that to yourself as you're walking in the kitchen to cook dinner, or you're walking to go pay a bill, or you're walking in the other room to pick up something that you just stepped on that you asked somebody 15 times to pick up. But you don't leave. And this family, when I'm reading local accounts of this family, they all talked about how close they were. So then you can't tell your father or your parents, listen, I can't do this, I need help? Was that what it was about? And how long were they neglected and what were they treated like when she was there? Because if they didn't even know how to brush their teeth or use soap or use a shower, they weren't babies when she left them. I mean, well, babies, I get, 7 and 8. Or was it 7 and 8 or 8 and 9? I think that's pretty young, but my kids at 7 and 8 knew how to use the tub, knew how to brush their teeth, brush their hair, how to use a toilet. So what in the world? These poor babies never had a chance. They never had a chance. And exactly. Yeah. And she has 4 children altogether. The one child is with its father. And see, she was getting, I believe she was getting Section 8, which meant that DHS was paying her rent every month. But I had noticed in some of the newer pictures, she looked like she was working at like a hardware, like a Lowe's or a Home Depot, something like that. And my thought was, Michigan around that time had put down different welfare laws. It was all over the news about creating back to work programs to where if you wanted to be able to get, I don't think it went towards food assistance. I think it was just people wanting cash assistance. You either had to go in for job training 20 hours a week at Michigan Works, or you had to go get a job for at least 20 hours a week to help offset the cost of the cash. And so I'm wondering if she maybe lost her Section 8 because she maybe wasn't employed or getting enough hours or maybe getting too many hours at that point, and she lost that, and that's why they quit getting paid, because the landlord had said that they had been getting paid every month until I've heard October and I've heard December. I don't know which one, but either way, the kids had already been there for almost 4 years. And that's the thing too. That's the other thing. We keep saying, how did they not get caught? How did they not get caught? The other little thing that happened in all of this is that this landlord never registered this as a rental property. And in the city of, in Oakland County, in the city of Detroit, well, see, and that's it. If she had had Section 8, they still would have been inspecting the house. But part of the problem was there's all these, and see, it was all these little policies that got ignored or that weren't in place in the state of Michigan. And I don't know about any other state. I just know about my state. Landlords are supposed to register their properties as rental properties. So the city or county that they're in can do yearly inspections. And they will do yearly inspections. And that doesn't count with Section 8 inspections if you're on Section 8. That's a completely different thing. So, but see, that's the problem too, is that Michigan DHS and CPS is so overloaded. We were talking about this yesterday, that they really can't, they don't do these things. We have lost in the state of Michigan. One of the things that happened with budget cuts is they got rid of a lot of our home inspectors, business inspectors. And I saw it in the salon world. We used to every single year, sometimes twice a year, have state board come in and check our salon. And they checked everything, okay? They went in, not just the salon itself, but they would come in, and even if I had a client in my chair, I had to stand back. We had to wait. My client had to get up, and they went through every drawer, everything that I had. My scissor packet, my combs. They made sure, they tested my barbicide to make sure that it was a certain color, that I was mixing it correctly. They checked colors, they checked gloves, they even checked our waste baskets. And there was one waste basket in the back that we used to put dirty towels in. And they told us that we had to change it and make it a laundry basket, an obvious laundry basket, and keep a garbage bag in the garbage can over on the other side of the room to make it, for, infectious disease and everything being safe practices. And then all of a sudden, we hadn't seen one in 5 or 6 years. They would literally go through all of our licenses and check and make sure that everything was ready. And see, restaurants too. And some of our restaurants have gotten really bad. Now, they are now starting to come back in our restaurants more. And a lot of places are getting, fined, getting the truth's coming out about a lot of these places that sadly, a lot of them I ate at and no longer do because blah. And I worked in a restaurant when I was in high school. I know that everything isn't always perfect. You're busy, things get dirty, but there's limits, And oh yeah, so she knows they're sticklers for making sure that everything's clean, that you have autoclaves, that you have we had a nail tech that she used to keep all of her tools in the jar of barbicide, and you're not supposed to do that. Barbicide's not a storage. You're supposed to put your stuff in it, let it soak for 15 minutes, take it out, rinse it under hot water, let it air dry. But if you keep it in there, it's considered infectious. And then we're supposed to take that barbicide and throw it out and put clean barbicide in. So the only thing that goes in there are dirty combs, and you don't ever, I used to see girls pulling combs out of there. Oh my God, you don't ever do that. That is disposal. And then you take it out and you wash them, and you have to do it a couple times a day. Your brushes, your curling irons, even everything. If there was too much hairspray buildup on curling irons, they would get mad at you if there was nail polish on your table. But like I said, budget cuts came, and it started probably in 2000, that far back, because that was when my ex-husband and I bought our first house. And the home inspector that came for the city, before we could sign the final papers, we had to meet him there. And he found a bunch of things wrong, and he said, listen, he's like, I'm going to be straight with you. He's like, I really don't care. He said, I don't care at all. He said, I am getting laid off next week. He said, so if you want me to write this down in this report, I will, but it will stop your loan until this is fixed. Or I can give you a thumbs up and you guys can fix this all yourself. And we were dumb and young and said, oh yeah, we'll fix it ourselves. Yeah. And then we found out the next year that we had termites in our laundry room. Fun times. So yeah, that was a dumb mistake. But oh yeah. Yeah, you have to clean in between clients, whether you're doing hair or nails. Everything has to be sanitized. Everything has to be fresh. You don't ever use the same file on another client. You don't use the same brush on another client. It's just, even capes. People think those bands around that they either use the towel or those kind of stretchy things, pieces of material to go around your neck. That's not to keep hair out. That's to keep the cape from touching your neck. It's about being clean. That's all it is. About not transferring, because even when you wash those, you don't, you can't really wash those vinyl capes to be completely sanitized. And oh yeah, no, he wasn't even retiring. He was being laid off because they were getting rid of all of the city inspectors. And that was in the city of Flint. That was the beginning of the end. Oh, that was a horrible, horrible time. The following year, they did budget cuts and they started only picking up our garbage every other week. So twice a month, we got our garbage picked up. And on our street, there were a bunch of new babies. There was a bunch of young couples, and we all had babies. And I'm telling you, that was the worst summer ever, because you had diapers in trash cans rotting on the side of your house because you couldn't take your garbage out. And oh my gosh, it was horrible. It was horrible. Funny enough, the mayor at that time lived just outside the city limits, and his garbage was fine. Yeah, oh, I was never so glad to get out of that city as I was when we did. It's sad. You can try, and that's what's sad, is there could be people that care in a neighborhood and people that care in a city, but it only takes a couple that don't care to ruin it for everybody. And that's kind of the same with the internet too. I mean, really, if you think about it. No, I was trying to find on here, and I'm not seeing it now, but something about, oh, that was so sad. This, with the babies, that just broke my heart. Little baby toes. That's from like March 13th. There was something about Nancy Guthrie being hacked. And I just, like, in the days leading up to this, and I just saw it. But like I said, my thing refreshed, and now I can't find anything. I'm just sorry about any of the gross AI videos that pop up on here. X is becoming the same as YouTube. Like, you don't even have to follow somebody, and they just start popping up on your stuff. What? This is something I hadn't heard. Investigators are looking for a suspicious vehicle on Vita Entrada at 10 a.m. on January 31st, the morning of the last day she was seen alive.
Alerting investigator seeking video, as I mentioned, 9 p.m. to midnight, Jan 11, and are also interested in a, quote, suspicious vehicle spotted on Via Entrada. That's a street near Nancy Guthrie's home around 10 a.m., Jan 31. Interesting. What can you tell me about that, Dave Mack? A suspicious vehicle on a street, Via Entrada, 10 a.m., Jan 31.
Right. And the FBI is looking for every possible surveillance camera, Ring doorbell camera that they can find pointing towards the road to get a shot of this suspicious vehicle. And they're asking for a block of time from m to 11:30 a.m. on January 31st, the morning before the attack, the kidnapping that took place later that night. So we're talking about the morning of, so this suspicious vehicle on a road nearby. Now, suspicious, not exactly sure what that means, but it stuck out, Nancy, and it stuck out during the daytime. That says a lot.
Again, let me stress that no one on that construction crew are learning.
That's interesting. But oh yeah, we really were with GM, and well, and that's it. We instantly saw huge increases in crime, because also right after that was when they started changing some of the welfare laws. And again, they took away not public assistance, but what they did is they did a big reform, and they went through and they found like single men that were just not working, that were receiving food stamps, things like that. And they took them all off. And it was literally, but I mean, they had months to know. So no one, that's a real hard subject for me. No one has an excuse that they didn't know that it was time to try and find a job, to try and do what they had to do, or to reapply to show that they deserve to be recipients of that service. But almost instantly, like, that was when we saw our neighborhood do a nosedive. And we started seeing people walking down the street that we hadn't seen before. Tough looking guys, you know, they weren't the kids of the neighborhood. And we started seeing some of the kids of the neighborhood walking around looking all thug and everything. And it's like, oh my gosh, you know, and oh, that's cool. I graduated in 95. I mean, I love where I live now. I live in a very small town. I am back where I grew up, and I am so glad that I got my oldest son out of there, because him being autistic, there is no way that we would have survived or gotten the help that we got in the Flint School District. Those poor teachers are trying everything they can just to keep those kids fed and in clothes and in school every day. And I had a lot of Flint teachers that were clients of mine, and it just broke my heart to hear the stories. So, you know, you can't even start school for an hour or two because you're making sure that so-and-so had breakfast and so-and-so has a coat and so-and-so didn't get any sleep last night, so let's just let them go down to the nurse's office and take a little nap. And, you know, I mean, I just can't imagine just basic needs that these kids aren't getting. It is nice. I'm so glad. You know, I did not appreciate it when I was growing up at all. I was the kid that wanted to get out of here, that wanted to go in the big city, wanted to do this, wanted to do that. And I didn't go to a huge city, but I did go live in the city. And I was close to all the shopping centers and close to all the restaurants, and it was great. And then I had a child, and I started realizing and seeing what was happening to the kids in the neighborhood that we lived in. These sweet little kids that, you know, we were all very close on our street down there. And I had a giant dog. It was a Newfoundland. He weighed about 140 pounds. He was huge, big, giant, walking bearskin rug, but just a sweetheart. And all the kids of the neighborhood would come down and they'd knock on the door and they'd ask, can we go play with your dog out in the backyard? And the ones I knew, you know, I let him. And he just loved it. And they loved it. And oh, seriously, like the best dog, Doug. I swear. He was a Landseer, and he was black and white. And oh my gosh, he was hilarious. I mean, he loved to take bubble baths. We had to literally, we could not say or spell the word bath, because all of a sudden you'd hear these big feet and thumping, getting into this dog would climb into a big, I have a picture somewhere, I'll have to show it to you guys someday, of him sitting in the bathtub with all these bubbles. He loved bubble baths. But he was just a great dog. And yeah, yep. And that was something funny, is I remember having to explain to people all the time that, you know, they're water dogs. They're not, you know, his big old feet. Oh, that we named him. His name was Paws, because we didn't know what he was when we got him. My ex-husband was supposed to go get me a black and white Shih Tzu. I had found these people in the paper, and they were selling these little black and white Shih Tzus, and they were adorable. And we always laughed. So he came home and he got the color right. But the puppy that he brought home was the same size of a Shih Tzu, full grown. And this dog was only about 6 weeks old, we found out. Oh yeah, my hound dog that I have now, it's so funny. She'll be getting in the way and being a nuisance and just being naughty, and driver will say to her, do you want to take a bath? And boom, she's gone. She's in her bed. She doesn't want anyone she doesn't want anyone to even mention the word bath. She's out of there. So, oh, I didn't know that. I knew they were used, as water rescue dogs. I didn't know that they were sailors' dogs. So that's a neat. I'll tell my oldest son about that. My youngest never got to meet him, but and that's the thing, is, you know, you just said even if they passed, they are one of the most loyal dogs in the world. And I mean, this dog, he had to literally be touching someone in our home. He could not just sit there. Like if I was in the kitchen making dinner, he had to be in there with his paw on me, on my foot. Or, and when I had my oldest son, oh my gosh, we couldn't let him in the bedroom because he would start sniffing him in the middle of the night to check on him and wake him up. And he was tall enough to reach over. And so when we started closing the door, well, he'd sleep in front of the door, and the whole top of him was black, and so you couldn't see him in the middle of the night, and you just about break your neck tripping over this big mountain in the middle of the hallway, and yeah, exactly. Their temperament just kind of big, and they are great dogs. They are big, and they're big dogs though that don't need tons of space. Like they're one of the big dogs that could actually, like we lived in a city house in a city yard. There wasn't tons and tons of room for him to be running around. He had enough room to run, but he really could care less. He loved to be outside when it snowed. He loved to be outside when he did not like it when it was hot. He was an air conditioning dog. That was definitely for sure. But great with kids, really protective, and protective of us in our home. But the minute that we said that it was okay, he was fine, would let people in. He'd be loving all over them. And we always joked around and said we needed to start handing out paper towels and lint roll brushes at our front door. And oh yeah, exactly. In fact, we have another picture of my dad, who was 5'6" and weighed about 160, 170 maybe. And he did not like thunderstorms. They scared him. And my dad was sitting there one day, and all of a sudden it was getting ready to rain, and a big crack of thunder happened. And that dog went running from the one side of the house to the other and jumped in my dad's lap and sat there shaking. And all you could see was my dad's little hands and like his little feet underneath this big dog. He was just, they also remind me of, like almost like the Great Dane personality too. And when I moved in here, our neighbors across the street had an older dog, Great Dane, that just they were kind of buddies. They were both, at that point old and slow, and the Newfoundland, he ended up living to be 14, almost 15 years old. And we had to unfortunately put him to sleep because he started getting like hip dysplasia and he couldn't see. He was in pain, and it was hard, but we had to do it, and so then fast forward, my son who has autism was really missing having a pet. It was a really good connection, like emotional connection for him to have. And so we had a friend whose dog had puppies, and they were blue tick hound and I believe it was Walker mixed with we believe there's a little bit of Beagle in there somewhere. And she's just a hot mess. She is a diva. She has an attitude. She's hyper. She barks. And so Rocky, the big old Great Dane, decided to come over across the street. He used to break out their front window, the screen, and come over to our house. And he came over one day not knowing that our dog was there. And he walked up to the door and did his normal sniffing. And she barked to him and scared the living daylights out of him. And that was it. Oh, yeah. You know what, though? She's too much of a wimp to be a hunter. That's the thing, too. The squirrels completely confuse her. So she's not a good hunting dog. But she was never trained. I mean, I'm not a hunter. And neither is Driver. So, she's... But, she's scared of frogs. She's scared of baby bunnies. And she's also afraid of mice. Or not mice, shrews. Because we have shrews in our backyard too. Which are basically just bigger mice with pointy noses. But, yeah. So that's my hunting dog that I got. But she will not let anybody in this house. She even barks at us when we come in. So she's definitely a good doorbell. But, Yeah, I got spoiled by that Newfoundland. I'm telling you, he was the biggest baby, and I had to put my side of the bed up against the wall though, because he would come in the middle of the night, and like I said, he just had to be near everybody. Now, he didn't like my bed because my bed was a water bed at the time, and it scared him. But what he would do is he would get like upset or scared because of a storm or noise outside, and he'd come running in the bedroom, and he'd stick his head like hard as he could underneath my pillow to hide, because it was, like a little kid. Like, if I can't see you, then you can't see me. And he'd hide under there. Or he'd get bored in the middle of the night and he'd start like licking my leg or giving me kisses on the face. And so I'm like, all right, I had to put my bed up against the wall. But yeah, she's definitely a good watchdog. There is not a squirrel or a leaf in the neighborhood that gets past my front door without her letting us know about it. That's for sure. Oh my gosh. She is a diva though. She doesn't like when it rains. She doesn't like if it's too hot, and she doesn't like if it's too cold. She will, if it's about 70, she'll sit out and chill. But other than that, she's done. That one, are you talking about on the 31st? Yeah. Yeah. The 31st was the suspicious vehicle at 10 a.m. on the 31st. That was the morning. So that would have been the morning of the day that she went to dinner at Annie and Tommaso's. I love black labs. They're big old doofuses too. Yeah, that would have been January 31st, 10 a.m. That's just weird. It sounds like somebody was watching her. And then now we have the January 11th date that is said to be that date when the guy that had the no backpack on, that was January 11th. So these guys may not be, the most sharpest tacks in the box, but this wasn't just random. This wasn't this was planning. It might not have been the best, but I mean, maybe they haven't gotten caught yet, right? Let's see what this is. I love Maureen.
You mentioned the family. Meg and Kelly also reported, and I don't really have any sources within, I don't know Savannah Guthrie. I know Megan used to work at NBC. I think she probably knows people, obviously. But she reported that that Savannah Guthrie is furious over these allegations.
Theorems guy? I don't know who that is. Yep, the pool area. Yep, and the guy. And then the neighbors that moved out all of a sudden. They were looking into them too. Just talking to them, or looking for them to talk to them.
People saying stuff about the family and about her sister and Tommaso. Where are your thoughts on that right now? I guess it would make sense why she would be upset.
Of course she's upset. Because, Annie and Tommaso have a child that's young. This whole thing has to be unbelievably traumatic. And everyone was blaming Tommaso and Annie to a certain extent. And you think the kids at school aren't hitting him with that every day? So that kid is suffering even more than he normally would with his grandmother being abducted and Lord knows what else. So I can understand that, but I can also understand why people are asking all these questions. Because when it was it seemed like every other day for the first week, the police or FBI are over at their house or in their backyard, or they seize the car and the car's there for.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. I didn't know that was his name. I just remember hearing about that. Yeah. That's creepy. Because yes, remember that was the one that because I was talking about that guy that was in here. that was creeping us all out. And at first, that was the first night I think that I met you in here, and we thought it was the same guy, but it wasn't. It was ouch, the one that we were that was creeping us out was ouch. Just a second, I'm trying to move my leg and not flip over in my chair. His name was Patrick. That was the one that he was creeping everybody out, talking about driving around her house and stuff. And then he said he was going to be driving. It was the weekend before the Daytona 500. I remember that because he was saying that the FBI had picked him up and questioned him, and that they would not let him leave to go back home to Florida, that he was a construction worker at one of those houses near her home. They would not let him leave yet, and that he was sad because he was going to miss driving in the Daytona 500. Okay.
40 days. I mean, those are all solid indicators of someone being involved in some way, shape, or form. So it's normal to ask those questions. But when the sheriff says that they're not suspects anymore, then, we've got to pump the brakes and be patient. And it's not easy to be patient in a situation like this. Your mind just races. I mean, have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and thought, my God, where is poor Nancy? I know I have. A lot of us have.
Yeah. It's funny when I got, not funny, but it's something about me getting back home. Like, you're so in the zone when I was there in Tucson for like 42 days. Like a lot of those questions that like didn't really hit me until I got home, like just kind of laying in bed here back at home. Like, gosh,
feeling safe.
We don't really know where Nancy is. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think I was just so go there. Like kind of those bigger questions didn't really set in for me until I got home. And I'm like, gosh, this really is crazy,
Yeah, well, distance does that, that's why, when they say it's good to get away, sometimes it is. And you really immersed yourself in there. You really immersed yourself there completely and did such a great job. And so many people appreciate that. But then you get home and you can have, breathe a little bit and you're thinking, wow, where is Nancy? I mean, it is shocking to me that we don't have more information right now.
Yeah.
It is shocking.
With her car, with Annie.
Well, and the information that we do have is so round and round and round and round. I mean, I just don't get it. They want us not to speculate, but yet he keeps, sorry about the pause, the bad pause, Brian, but yet puts out things that make people speculate, make people think these off the wall things.
In Tommaso's car, I did learn something new. I don't know if I haven't seen anyone else report this. I don't know if you knew this. So what I was told is one of the reasons that was so delayed in returning it is because it wasn't like they ripped the car apart like with Ryan Koberger's car, like where they took the seats out and everything, but it was something with the electronics that they did, like some kind of download of the electronics that somehow messed things up. And the sheriff's office took the car to the dealership to get it all fixed, which apparently was taking a lot of time.
That's interesting because my sister had all the
Yeah, that's something that I heard this morning is that, no, yeah, I haven't seen this. This is just like a clip on X. I don't think this is his full one. But I just found this, like I said, I had everything all set up and then my X refreshed and I lost all of my thing. No, I haven't heard about a man named Anthony and a woman named Alani. And welcome, Truth.
electronics and everything are in that radio system in the front. She ordered a brand new vehicle and she gets it home. The whole thing stops working. So they had to take that whole system out of the dashboard. When they did that, it was like this whole mesh network back there. They had to tear, I mean, it was irreparable. So they had to order a whole new thing, wait for it to get there, test it. They had issues again. This is my sister's car, not Annie's car. They had issues again and had to order some other parts before they were able to make it whole, and knock on wood, But that actually is the first thing that makes sense about what's taken them so long. But they could have just said that.
I know, because I asked my source, so was it like Koberger's car? Because I actually got pictures of Koberger's car where it was like the cushions were off and the gear shifter was off. They took the steering wheel off. And he's like, no, they didn't do anything like that. They didn't want to damage the car, but they messed up the electronics when they did.
In order to get it out, you have to, yeah. In some cars, not all cars. A well-designed car, it shouldn't be that way. It's kind of like a car where in order to do anything with the transmission, you have to take the whole transmission out. So it's going to cost you an extra $1,800. That kind of, that's not a well-designed car in my opinion, but what do I know?
Yeah. And just one last thing on Savannah that I've thought about is, I didn't know her, but I've seen her before at big stories. Like, when the Today Show will send out the anchor to be live on the scene, big crimes. I don't know if she was at Koberger, but, she's been that, I was standing outside the house, like she's been that.
Oh, wow, Doug. Yeah, I had not seen that. What in the world was I doing yesterday? What was I doing yesterday? I don't even. Oh, I've had that migraine for the past couple of days, so I was not. Wow. That's something that another friend was talking about with me too. Like, what about the reservations? Like, because we really don't know what, they keep saying a Hispanic male in that picture, but it could be an indigenous male too. I mean, similar skin tone, finer hair as far as the mustache goes, things like that, and, was it? See, I don't know what is going. I don't know if it's StreamYard or if it's YouTube, but I was I was on a live earlier with one of my friends, and there were people saying, like, "Are you blocking my comments?" And I was the only mod, and I'm like, "I am not blocking comments. I swear. Like, it takes a lot for me to block a comment. I mean, I've said it in here. Comments, good or bad, are engagement. That's what YouTube wants. So as long as it's not offensive to anyone in my chat, or I'm not in a bad mood and I have to delete it myself, I leave it. And let me see. So I've got this up. Where's my thing? Just have to find in community. No. Settings. Oh, there. Okay. Okay. See if it works now, Truth. It let me save you. Oh, and see, that goes back to those properties under construction. Well, and that's just it at this point. you have got to look into everything because who knows? I mean, obviously nobody knows, right? Yay, it worked. Oh, awesome, awesome. Woo! So y'all better be nice to me now or Truth's gonna go after you. I'm just kidding. She's way nicer than I am. Oh, I am like that relief. That's a relief because I was sitting there. Like I said, I was laying there yesterday in bed waiting for my, and I'm gonna say it, my migraine medication. I hope that lady doesn't come back in here and tell me I'm mentally unstable because I take Excedrin. But I was laying there and I was just scrolling through and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna search for this because I don't know. I didn't feel good and I was mad, so I was going through stuff and yeah, definitely. I'd like to, share it with me because that's interesting. I had not, like I said, I missed 3 days and well, the thing is that like, what's wrong with being crazy? We're all a little crazy, aren't we? Oh my gosh. Like, so silly. Oh, I think you're mentally unstable. Like, sure, it's me. I'm the problem. Okay. No, I will I'll own all of my crazy. I'll own all of my chunk. I'll own all of my things that, certain words that no matter what I try, I can't spell them correctly, you know? Doug, we need to download your brain. That's what we need to do. See, you're probably like me in truth. We listen to so much stuff that it's like, I have no clue where I heard it, but I know that it was probably true. Like, you know? Yeah. That's what I've been doing. I've been watching little bits here, little bits there, and I made the mistake this morning of thinking, okay, I'm going to take a little break before everybody wakes up. And I went sleazing down in the drama community. I'll totally admit it. I started listening to stuff and all I did was get myself all mad. And so I thought, nope, I'm gonna go clean something. So I know. My dirty little secret. I told you I have a blinged out golf cart and I go boondock. I don't hide in the bushes. I park right up in the front yard, but I do. I go around and I'll watch like 5-10 minutes here, 5-10 minutes there. But there's some people getting called out. And it is attached to this case. It's people that were putting themselves in this case. And I was not ready for any of it. So yeah, I'm a peeping gutsy. I do. I told everybody. I had some lady come in one day and she was like, "Oh, you love the drama." I was like, "I do." I was like, "But I don't do drama." And oh, girl, I will text it to you because shoo. All that, like literally, someone found out that I talked to my friend on the phone about it, and I lost 2 subs. So I'm treading lightly with this one, but oh my gosh, no, it's bad. It's bad. It is so bad. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. In fact, we might even have to have like a phone call tomorrow or something about this. Oh. And I shouldn't be laughing because it's actually really freaking sick and it really makes me angry. But, yeah. But no, I had, like, this lady, I was like, I told her, I'm like, listen, I'm human. I like listening to the tea. I don't want to be in the middle of it. I don't want to be perpetuating it. I don't want to have my channel revolve around it at all. And yeah, I like watching. If you're gonna give me a show, I'm gonna watch. Okay, simple as that. Am I gonna make my channel about that? No, because I don't want to do that's. I don't want to deal with that negativity all the time. I want to do something that maybe. I mean, are we helping when we talk about this case or not? I don't know, but we're helping each other wrap our heads around it at least, you know. And but no, I joked. I told everybody, I'm like, I have a blinged out golf cart. It has. I've got my smoke box behind me. I got my cooler in front of me. I've got Coke Zero. I've got full sugar Mountain Dew because that's just wrong. It's like you need that combination. I've got Christmas lights all over it. I have USB plugs to plug in all of our devices and headlights so I can see exactly what's going on. And I pull right up in the front yard of these lives and I watch. I don't care who knows I'm watching. I'll tell them I watch them all. I watch them all, but not as a steady diet. I can't do that. It's just too much. And it's really eye-opening to see what some people live like. Look, we can say that, right? Oh, totally. I have a headlamp. I was a scout mom. I have the coolest hat in the world. It's a tactical, like 20 below zero rated hat that has 2 big LED lights on the front. Oh, I didn't know you were his mod. I love Robbie. I wanted those for camp. Yes, I want to get croc lights. I want croc lights. Oh, I read a book about the Boston Strangler. I always wondered. He didn't seem... There's something that he just didn't seem capable of doing that. And I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but... Wow. Shark's tooth hunting. Ooh. I need it. I needed it for camp, but I also need it for trying to walk through my backyard through the landmines that my teenager and I fight over, that it's his responsibility to pick up. So in the dark in the summer. That's interesting, Doug. And that theory sounds a little bit familiar to me. I'm interested in a lot of those old cases, and oh, how cool. My son would love that. He would think that was so cool. Wow. Do you make jewelry out of them or anything like that? Sorry, I started talking again. See?
Person before. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I feel terrible for her now on the other side of this. I mean, I can't even imagine. I feel so bad for her. But at the same time, it's like she's also been the one asking these hard questions
really
before
when
she's covered these stories. And she's also been the one standing outside the house. So even though I feel terrible for her, it is kind of
I've seen her be pretty tough on people that I felt were victims of things in the past. I'm not going to hold that against her. Obviously, this is a terrible thing, but she, it's to the point where she should almost, to a certain extent, understand.
Right.
The person I think about all the time for some reason is her brother, the fighter pilot, because he's like a stoic, just the way that he's handled this whole thing. Just like the quiet warrior. And from the photos, he looks just like his dad, doesn't he?
Mm.
And for him to go into battle, to fight for innocent people, to be safe and all that kind of stuff, to have this happen, you know.
I thought about that too. I'm downloading them right now, Truth Warrior. Yeah. And I thought about that. Like, that was something that, like, my family is full of like military men, and they were in the major wars, and luckily most of them came home. But I just know from the men in my family and the men that I have known that were current or ex-military, when something happens to their family, like, it's a huge gut punch, because in their minds, they're literally going after some of the most evil people on earth, but yet they couldn't protect their family from something horrible happening. And that's sometimes a really hard thing for them to deal with.
His mom makes it to 84, and now this is just indescribable.
Yeah. And you could tell when he made that one video, I mean, he's clearly not someone, I don't think he's comfortable in the public eye. He's like, seems like he has a military personality.
Yes, but he would do anything. He would do anything for his mom, and that's why he did it. He didn't want, I mean, like you said, he was not comfortable doing that. But I just, you know, I mean, so many of us just wish there was something we could do to comfort any of them.
Yeah, I know.
But all we can do is keep the story alive, I guess.
I hope that, I don't know, I wonder what it feels like for them now, like for Annie. You know, it's like, do you want things to kind of quiet down?
Well, Annie and Tommaso probably do, just for their son, for their own sanity. Everyone knows where they live. Everyone can get pretty close to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. They would want it to slow down, but they still want everyone to look for their mom.
That's what I thought too. And why he maybe had to leave and come back. Like, I believe he's still active. Yeah, I'd read it too, Doug. That is interesting. And that the Boston Strangler is a case. It's one of the very first, like, true crime serial killer cases that got me interested in this whole field.
Did you see that one video? There was one of the streamers, which is like the people, you know, who are out there with streaming with their phone, was outside their house. This was a couple days ago, and Tommaso came out. Did you see that on like Twitter or anything?
No.
And
that was Mark the Shark. I saw that clip. And I don't really know who Mark the Shark is, but I just know it was Mark the Shark.
Came out and was clearly, I forget what he said, but it was like he was agitated that they were outside the house again, his house, which I can understand. I mean, I never went back to there. Once they were cleared, and it was like, you know, of course I went there remember when the police were inside and you could see the camera flash? I mean, I'm a reporter. I had to be there, and I kept going back every day.
Again, I don't know this Mark the Shark, but I kind of thought it was a little bit in poor taste too at this point, you know, just let it, you know, leave it alone. Like, oh, see, I didn't see the part about the neighbor. I only saw that short part where Tommaso came out and said something to him about it. I mean, he was polite. He wasn't rude to him or anything. Neither of them were rude to each other. But I just thought, oh, I don't know. I mean, of course, you know, Monday morning quarterback, everybody would do something different than the next person, right? Sorry, my computer like freaked out for a second.
But once they were cleared, it was kind of like, what's the point of hanging out outside their house, you know?
Yeah. So what did he do?
So he was agitated. I mean, he was in the video. He came out the front door, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was like you kind of saw a different side of him, like he had enough. You know what I mean?
Whatever.
Yeah, which I could kind of sympathize with.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't know that was where they found. See, I told you I missed like 2 or 3 days. And okay, what about some crazy shit will be coming out soon? Let's see, Ikidmal. Oh, he's got his serious face on. anything. I did see something about, but I don't think that's what he's talking about. Well, I guess he has been kind of covering the war, that the new leader was believed also to be dead. Oh, this Josh Duggar, another brother in that family. Oh yeah, no, it was just Ickadmel. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be something stupid like I got a haircut today. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know. Who was it? Oh, so yeah, I have no idea. I'm not staying up to find out what he's announced. If he hasn't announced it yet, it's been 3 hours. I don't think nothing's gonna come out. I mean, what? Even if, let's see, it's 10 p.m. in AZ right now, right? So there's nothing coming out of there. I started watching him during the Kylie Rodney thing. But yeah, so another brother now has been. See, my computer doesn't even trust TMZ. Oh, let me show you these. Just a second. These are now if I say that, am I saying them right? Megalodon teeth. The truth hunts. Holy moly, is that the inside, like where the root of the tooth is? Holy moly. We went last year. That's really cool, Truth. Thanks for sharing that with us. Hi, Nadia. You are so late and you are so fired. No, I can do. Did I? Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, we figured it out, Nadia. We figured it out. Un momento. Nope, see, it's not working on Nadia now. Oh, I hadn't heard about that, Tori. Welcome, by the way. Oh my God, I love Texas Roadhouse, Nadia. The rolls. I always fill up on the rolls and the salad. And then I bring my steak home. What'd you have? I love that place. I don't blame you. It's so good. And I'm not a big drinker. I rarely drink just because it's not, I don't care if you do, if you don't. No, it's not a judgment thing. It's just, I'm old and when I drink, I fall asleep. But they have, if you ever want to do a date night, do want to have a cocktail, ours at least they were $5 Long Island iced teas. And they're small, but they are packed to And yeah, I fell asleep last time we went there too on the way home. I was on the passenger side. Just I'd want to know why. Why do you think they went there? I'm going to put this up on the board, Tori. I hope that's okay. Sally Ann Farina. She's a missing lady in Pima County, very recent. No idea if it's related to Guthrie or not, but she's 68 years old. Oh, you read my mind, Doug. That's something that's been on my mind. Is this someone that's just starting at the very beginning? Yeah, and we've heard that about a jammer. And then again, I can't find it. I'm so mad. It was on X. I had it up, and it said that she was hacked. It was believed that she might have been hacked. Okay, yeah, I tried it on this one. It won't make you won't blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't pop up again. I got Truth Warrior to work. If you hear my phone click, I'm just screenshotting your name to make sure that I spelled it right, because when I'm using StreamYard, I can't copy and paste the name into the little box. Okay. Let me try it now. No, it will not pop up. I've got it, 2 L's, 2 R's. This dumb thing. Let's see. What are you in? You're in regular. Oop. So let's see if I can do it this way. Because it says I'm just supposed to copy and paste you. Man, block, get out of here. Yep, it keeps saying no matching users found. And it's not, and it's not showing Truth in there, but she's got her. I know what is going on. Like, I don't understand. Will it only allow me to do one at a time? I mean, I don't know that. How dumb. Yeah, I could not find you. It was doing the same thing to it was doing the same thing to breaking news too. No, that's something that we've talked a lot about in here, Tori, is that, is this like the very beginning? Because look at, well, I mean, all of us that are in the true crime, when we follow these guys and these serial, attackers, killers, whatever, they always start out, it's an escalation. And I mean, this guy, we're on day 46, he's not caught yet. I'm glad too. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm getting excited. I've been trying to build my channel for about a year, and lately I've really got to meet a lot of really cool people, and I'm excited. So the more the merrier. Thank you. But yeah, no, that is something that we've talked about too, is this, because look at, weren't we talking about it last night even, that what's that guy, that Rex Howard, or the Manhattan or Long Island killer, and then there was there's that suspected one in Texas, and where else was it? Howerman, is that how you say it? Howerman? Am I saying that correctly? Gilgo Beach, yes, that is that's the dude. He is so scary looking. He just makes me gulp every time I see his picture on TV. And wasn't there, what was it, you, Doug, that was, I thought you mentioned someone else last night, or another area last night. Was it you? Someone in the East Coast area that was talking about a possible serial killer in that area. Methany. Oh, I thought you were calling. Never mind. That was never mind. That actually had somebody called somebody that in one of the drama videos I was watching. You brought me back to there. Here, I'm screenshotting these things too. My phone is gonna melt if I screenshot anymore. Well, I'll have to, Nadia, I'll either try it when I'm not live, or I will I'll have to put like a ticket into YouTube or something. Because I do not know why. And then when I went back in, it wasn't showing Truth Warrior, but so I'm gonna make sure next time we go live, we come back in, that she's still gonna rent, because I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I just see, I'm glad you're you're my people, Wyoming. Oh, well, that's it. And the answers that we do have don't make sense, and they're all over the place. And like I said, they keep saying doesn't want people gossiping, but then you're literally pouring gasoline on a fire. When the sheriff, when he says the things that he does, and he comes out and says the things that he does, and it just, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. It's maddening. And I'm so glad that it's not one of my family members that he's in charge of keeping safe, because I really don't think he cares about anything but his image. And I did read, though, they are starting up recall action for him. So that may be, I wonder if that's what Ichabod was gonna announce, that they I don't know how any of that works. Like if they have to go to court to do it, if they have to, what they have to do. But I did see, I'm like, Doug, I don't know where I read it. But I know that I read it earlier. There's so much AI stuff out. Oh, that was just her. Okay, that's just her sharing. Oh, SF investigates. I know he's gotten a bad rap for certain things, but I do like him. Yeah, I am so sad about this too. This is totally off topic, but I can't believe that Neo is involved in this Celeste Rivas stuff. I mean, oh, that just... Yes, I'm a Neo fan. Anytime Neo comes on, if you're in the car with me, you better be quiet or sing because we're having a concert. And that's just how it's going to be. The same with Prince. Same with George Michael Jackson. Just sit down and hold on because it's going to be a party. Oh, same here, Tori. Yeah. Yeah. They are. They've got to come. Yeah, I kind of wonder that too myself, Doug. And are they just getting all the little I's dotted and the T's crossed to make sure, again, we go back to Kohlberger. We thought that they had absolutely nothing until all of a sudden, boom, there's a guy going across the country and cars following him, and that's just it. If this is as sophisticated as some people believe, she very well could be alive somewhere. And, there literally is, from a public standpoint, I feel like there's literally nothing that we can take off the table at this point. And I'm not being a jerk, I swear, but even the lie detector tests, okay? Because we heard that from, again, Sheriff Bananas, as Erica calls him. Sheriff Bananas. And granted, the FBI usually doesn't say anything until it's solved, right? But it's gotta. We have to. And that's the thing too, is that even if they find somebody, if they don't find her and this person doesn't give up stuff, then, I mean, it could take years for them to qualify as someone as deceased, to be able to then move on with other things, And I know you don't have to have a body for a trial. You don't. But it sure helps a lot. Or if they're alive and they can tell you what happened, I mean, either or. Yeah, it was an autocorrect. Like, it was so funny. It was an autocorrect. Her voice, she was doing like voice to text in it. Like, it said bananas instead of nanos. And so now I've coined him Sheriff Bananas. Because that really, it was, sometimes autocorrect, I think, is on spot. Is spot on, And that was one of those times. But, and that's just it. I keep thinking about, oh my gosh, if the small chance that she is still alive, can you imagine going through something like that? Especially at her age and just exactly Wyoming. Yeah, the public needs to feel safe too. And, he said the other day, I think she was targeted, but I did notice though something, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this, was he said, Arizona has nice weather and people like to leave their windows open. Did any of you hear him say that? And he's like, I'm telling you, close your windows, lock your doors at night. So maybe that's something that these monsters saw when they were there on the 11th or the 31st, is that she left her bedroom window open. And if we're like we were talking the other night, that little patio, that's most likely, from what it looked like in the layout, the bedroom. And there's a sliding glass door there. And when we look at the news, that news article where she's making the bed, that is probably to the right of that bed and near the end. And so, if she, because also there was no access from that little patio except into the bedroom. It was like a completely enclosed patio. So she probably felt very safe. That could have been the only window open, not thinking that a young man could jump over top of that. And, boom, hello, I'm in your room. I mean, that's true if it was, you just worried me because I'm thinking don't come to my house, you guys. But no, that is a good point. If all of the digits are, if the same 4 or 5 digits are wiped out, you get it eventually, maybe. And maybe when they were talking about people Googling them, maybe they weren't Googling necessarily to find out how much they made. Maybe they were Googling to find out birth dates so they could use. They talked about that in the Tempe murder case. How did he get in? Did he know that maybe she had the code? Maybe she used her birthday. Maybe she used something like that for the code for the house, and that's how he got in. And see, I think it is too, because maybe there was only one guy in the house, but there was other people out and about helping, doing something. And I do too, Wyoming. That's what I'm so glad we got. So, I mean, sometimes we spill a little tea because we've got to, but but for the most part, we try to be pretty respectful and have some good conversations in here. And I think, see, I heard that too, but I guess I looked for it after. Well, but I heard that it was false, but because, what did they say? Was it because they said they couldn't actually find that information and tie it to someone or something like that if they didn't already have someone in mind? It was one of the experts was talking about it. And so I'm wondering if there wasn't really a way to find that out or tie it. Because if somebody could have just gone into a library computer and searched that or something, and there would be no record of that, would there? I wouldn't think. Yeah, I think it's more than one guy too. And I think that when we're seeing him in front of that camera, taking the camera down, I just have this weird feeling that that's after everything happened. That was a last minute, oh shit, grab the camera. I mean, that's why he kept looking back. He's like, I can't get it off. It's not, something like that. I'm telling you. Or go over to Peabody County and clean them all up. My God. It's just, but no, that struck me funny though when he said that about, a lot of people like to leave their bedroom windows open at night, or their doors or whatever, to let fresh air in. Or something along those lines. And I thought, oh, he just spilled beans again. Was that just the out of bed in the middle of the night comment? And I thought maybe that's it. And if I can ever, and I am asking, begging, just because, I mean, it's not a big deal. We'll be all right if we don't have it. But there is a picture out that was, I believe, from the Fox News drone camera footage that showed the sliding glass door, the rug, and the comforter, what I think is a comforter, on the floor in front of the door. And if that's the case, that would make sense. Then we've got the layout of the room right. I do too. I am glad you came in here, Doug. I'm glad we got to meet you. You're definitely an awesome addition to our conversation. And I'm telling you, you guys save me daily, okay? Because I told you, I went from working almost 30 years in a salon of a bunch of all these people, seeing millions of people a day, to the vid hitting. I end up having this little boy. I start having health issues. I can't go back to work anymore. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting here watching Sesame Street all day long, which I like Sesame Street, but it gets to be a bit much, okay? Driver works like 16 hours a day, so I'm home and I'm taking care of kids, and I have a special needs kid, and I love that I can come on here and just sit and talk grown-up talk with you guys. Like, it's so nice that I get to use my brain for something other than peanut butter sandwiches and number blocks. So I thank you so very much for that. You really don't know how much I mean, when I say I appreciate you, I appreciate you. You keep me sane, okay? Well, as sane as I can be with, like I said, as my dear friend who came in here and told me I'm mentally unstable because I take Excedrin, other than that. Well, see, that's what I wonder too. Was somebody in that house? They really do. They really do, Wyoming. And it's all really good points. I mean, I don't remember one single thing that someone said where we've all been like, I don't think so. Whatever, because no, we've got a really good group that keeps, and everybody new that comes in is cool and like jumps right in and is, I love it. And like I said, I went boondocking in the drum, and there's some. I know I love you guys, okay? Yeah, because they'd have to be like, what did they say for the jammers? Like 20 feet? Was that at 20 feet? Or was it 200 feet? I can't remember. Yeah. And see, this is where I got myself. I got busy and I stopped writing everything down. I stopped my notebook, and I need to go through and like update all of my stuff in my notebook. And that way I'm not like scrambling, because life has just not been conducive to that lately, though. Okay, so this is something that I was wondering about right here. I think I was asking about this last night. If the perp was at Nancy Guthrie's door before January 31st, why wouldn't she have reported it? She may have had limited mobility, but still had her wits about her, and she would have received a notification if someone had been standing there acting suspicious. So that's what I don't understand. Is if they saw that, I have no idea who that random home in Michigan is, but yeah, and we ask, did she report it? But maybe she did. So is that something now that has been bumbled by the sheriff? Was there reports previously? Because if I was home alone and I saw some freako out in my front wearing a mask, I'd call the cops. And you would think that she would do the same. She would, because everyone has said that she still got notifications. She'd still get like a picture of what was out there. It may not have saved for her because she didn't have the subscription. But, well, and there was somewhere, and again, I do not know if this is internet rumor or not. There was somewhere that I thought someone said that they believed that she had a subscription. But that might just be confusion because they had gotten some of those videos out of the cloud, allegedly. But I don't know, like, let me see. Oh, yes, he was quite the topic of discussion today. And this, I saw this today too. This, did you ever come into contact with this guy in the Catalina foothills? But I don't know, he doesn't seem to have, I don't know why they're trying to contact him. Cute. Here, we'll have him, we'll stick him as our little mascot. Yeah, and so I don't know. So what? So that's another thing. Was there other reports of someone being in that neighborhood beforehand, being at her residence beforehand? Was anything done about it? Driver's got a migraine tonight, but I'm going to give him some homework to listen to some Broadcastify, because it would be on the radio, right? It would be on dispatch. If somebody called, or if she called. Well, I don't know if she did or she didn't. I just wonder about that bedroom window, because it was behind that little brick wall, which is maybe like 5 feet tall, 4 foot tall, where you would feel safe in there and think nobody can come in here because there's no like gate or door, you know, outside entry from the yard into that little area. But oh, wait a minute. Okay, this is an out there theory. Remember, a lot of people said that they saw that guy was kind of limping a little bit. Could he have hurt himself when he jumped over that brick wall? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, and that's something that seems to be a general consensus in that neighborhood, is it's a safe neighborhood. And that one neighbor, that tall, real thin blonde man, he said, you know, we don't necessarily always lock our doors. And I know in my neighborhood, people will all the time in the summertime will go to run up to the store or something like that, and they leave their garage door open. And I mean, most people don't lock that door that goes in between their garage into their home because they feel safe. They figure we're all out, everybody's outside. If somebody tries to go in there and do something, we'd see, but maybe we wouldn't, you know? And the question is, when she got dropped off that night, did someone walk her up to the garage door and walk her in the house? Or did they pull in the driveway, say goodnight, Ma? And, or did he go out and do the code? She got up to the door that leads into the house, did the code again. I mean, if she was that slow walking, 2 minutes is pretty quick to get out of a car. I mean, my mom was 7 years younger than her, and it was hard for her to get out of the car, especially like a little SUV kind of a thing like what Annie had. And then she had to get her purse, and then, you're sitting, so you're stiff. So it takes you a little bit to walk up to the door, put the code in, then walk from the door into the house, and then either hit the code or somebody hits the thing, whatever, you're in the house. Like, that takes more than 2 minutes. It takes me more than 2 minutes to get in and out. And yeah, a lot of people don't, and you just don't even think about it. I mean, I'll do that during the day. I'll go out to get the mail, or I'll go out to take the garbage out to the bins, and in the morning, and I walk back in, and I'm doing whatever in the house, and I don't realize until bedtime and I'm locking everything up that my front door's been unlocked all day, and because I just don't even think about it. And I mean, knock on wood, I've been so lucky, but I'm telling you what, I have started checking since all this happened. So, I mean, that's something that we try to do from every case that we follow too, is try to take some lesson, something out of it. And that's my mom's no longer here, but it makes me think about checking on my friends, checking on some of my older family members more often than I normally do, making sure that my doors are locked, that my garage door's down when I leave, which actually I don't leave my garage door open anymore anyway, because I got a little possum in there one day and scared the daylights out of me. And so now, as soon as I walk out of that garage, that door goes down. And I stand there and I wait and make sure no critters get in there. And yeah, I mean, yeah. And that's the thing, is I caught that when he said that. Don't leave your windows open. And we saw in that news report, there was those two little, well, not little, there was the windows above that little shelf that she had in the bedroom. It could have been that window. Maybe she left that open and somebody went boop. And maybe that was the 2 a.m. Wasn't it 2 a.m. the blood pressures or the heart rate spike of somebody crashing through your window? Maybe that's why the comforter was on the ground, because she jumped out of bed like, oh my God, I mean, you could not be able to move real well, but adrenaline kicks in and you could, especially, I mean, somebody startles you like that. And, oh, it scared the daylights out of me, truth. Oh my gosh. Scared. It was a baby, but it hissed at me and I didn't want it to bite me. So I just, and no way. You talking about the heart rate spike? Yeah, and we still don't know where the blood is in the house, right? Like I said, I missed a couple days, so. But yeah, as far as we still don't know where that is in the house, so that would be something that, which I don't understand. Maybe they're holding on to that to use that as a, something to get the suspect with, but we had in my old neighborhood when I lived in Flint, we had a neighbor that used to do that. He had it was a big old rifle that he kept behind the seat of his truck. And we had a rash of people breaking into sheds and garages and stealing lawn equipment and stuff. And he had gone out hunting in the morning, left it behind his seat, and then came home. When he came home, he left it behind his seat, went to bed because he worked third shift. And he used his car that night to go to work, left his truck there, and someone got in there and took that rifle. Well, it was still in the case. And we caught the guy. And he threw it in a bush way down the road and went running off. Well, it took the city of Flint, so nobody was injured, so it took a really long time for the police to get there. When they finally got there, we were standing out front talking to them, describing the guy, and our neighbor next door says, well, as a matter of fact, he looks like that guy right there. This fool had come back to get that rifle out of the bushes, and we didn't touch it because we didn't want any fingerprints on it or anything like that. We just watched it to make sure no kids got to it or anything. And he came back to get it and was in the bush pulling it out. And my neighbor said, that's actually him right there. And they arrested him. And because it was actually an antique, its value was over $1,000. So he got quite a bit of charges. I think it was a grand larceny or something like that. But, oh, I'm sure she did. You know, I mean, well, and that would make sense for that. So yeah, the blood being there. Yep, the Wi-Fi, exactly. I mean, independently, maybe not that big of a deal. But yeah, you put that all at the same time. I mean, you know, we get people coming in here going, you guys are not experts, but that's pretty common sense to me, is that you would think, hey, those might be related, right? There is something underlying in this whole case that's very strange. And I don't mean like the facts and stuff that we're talking about, or even the theories that we're talking about. I mean, I don't even know what I mean. There's just something about the way it's being handled that I just don't understand. And I feel like if certain things had been done, a lot of these things had been done, and I don't understand why they weren't done at the very beginning, that we'd be in a very different place right now. We might not even be talking about this anymore. We'd be talking about the trial of whoever did this, you know? Exactly. I will agree with that. I identify as that. Okay, truth. Yes, ma'am. Like I said, it's no fun. Who wants to being crazy is fun. Okay. I mean, although my dad told me one time that my dad was a therapist. See, now y'all are going to know why I'm so messed up. Okay. My mother was a teacher and my father was a therapist. Okay. Wow. Yeah. So, but my dad told me one time, I remember I was in beauty school, and it was like, you know, that time of your life when you're just like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And I asked him, I was trying to get ready for my state boards, and I'm like, am I crazy? And he's like, no, don't worry. He said, listen, this is the thing. He said, if you're truly crazy, he's like, you aren't aware enough to ask yourself if you're crazy. He's like, because you're walking around thinking you're fine and everyone else is crazy. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I also thought they're trying to recall him from his position altogether. So, and take this case completely out of it. You know, all the stuff that we discussed in a couple lives ago about him that we found out from reports and things about how he treats his deputies and officers below him, his track record, his hirings, his firings, his suspensions that he's put people on when they don't agree with him. You know, I mean, I've got my dad and my grandmother gave really, really, really good lessons. Little snippets of truth that you were like, One big one that my dad used to tell me is the truth will set you free, but it'll piss you off first. And I thought, that's the truth. Oh, he has. He's lied so much. Yeah, that's it. He's been a mess before this. Yeah, he doesn't want the spotlight on him. I believe it was the very last election. That's when he put his running mate, he put her on suspension or on like leave of absence. And so she wasn't able to participate in any of the like campaigning or anything like that. And then he ended up winning by a recount of only like 430 votes. And we've all heard Pima County is big. It's supposed to be, what they say, the size of, was it Connecticut and Rhode Island together? And, you know, that's a lot of people to only win by 400 some votes. I mean, here, that's half the city. But there, you know, I mean, I will. I'll do a little outro of some kind where we got these little. I had a crazy family that said a lot of funny things, but they taught me lots of lessons. I have thought that, and that he's trying to embarrass him. Here, I'm going to go take one of your rich white ladies from town, one of your voters or whatever, and show them what an absolute mess you are. Yeah, I have thought that too. That this literally could have nothing to do with anything that we think, and it has to do with, yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's off the table either. Maybe that's why he's acting so weird. I can't begin to even imagine. But you know, you don't think you don't until you do. You would never think that somebody would literally almost tank an investigation to save their own skin, but he's shown to not really have much integrity, much. Yeah, exactly. A person who's been making a fool of everyone else. Very is true story. This was years and years ago. This was again during all that when we were talking earlier about the house market crash, GM crash, all of that. In the city of Flint, there was a rash of arsons. Now, most of them were in abandoned houses in Flint. And after it was investigated, because they had cut over half the fire department. Again, it's all in that documentary called Flint Town. It's on Netflix still, I think. Either Netflix or Prime. It's one of the two. It is really, it tells you exactly what happened to that city. But it was all of these abandoned houses and stuff were burning to the ground every night. And they literally got to the point where they just had to let a lot of them burn because there weren't enough fire companies or firefighters around. And it ended up being, it was a firefighter that was setting those fires. And he was doing it to the abandoned buildings because he didn't want anyone to get hurt. He knew that they would most likely just let those burn and not let anyone in, but it would catch the eye of the officials that decided that their salaries were more important than that city having police and fire. And he did it to, he proved a point. Sadly, that was how we got some of the firehouses opened back up. But yeah, I mean, he was mad. He was mad that this, you know, this is the thing, is it was getting to be where you literally would call 911 and they would be shut down for the day because they were so overwhelmed. Can you imagine calling 911 and them telling you you'll have to call back later? Like, what? Are you kidding me? We had, on my oldest son's first birthday, a lady was rip-roaring drunk driving down our road like 100 miles an hour, and she crashed her Cadillac into the front, this tree in the front of our house. And she spread glass and everything everywhere. And it took us, that happened at like noon. It took us till 6 o'clock at night to be able to finally get through to 911 so that they would go and get this woman, because she lived down the road from us. We knew who she was. And yeah, it was nuts out. She liked her drinks, her afternoon, her morning whiskey or whatever it was. I don't know what it was, but I mean, there was murder victims in one of them, but there was another. This is really sad. In one of the homes, and I remember watching this footage. They were just letting it burn. Like, we were watching it, and this house is on fire, and there's one fire truck there, and they were just kind of taking their sweet time letting it burn. There was no police. There was nobody there. And when they finally put it out, and people are screaming, there are kids in there. There are kids in there. They found 2 little boys in the house that were gone. And they did prosecute. No, this was not the arsonist guy, though. This one was not it might have been set by the arsonist, but they tried to prosecute the firefighters that came on scene for not like getting out and hurrying up and putting out that fire. And they weren't found guilty because they were given orders to stay back, to stand down, but they had not relayed the message that there were reports of someone still being in that house. And it wasn't, this is the thing, when the persons, they were live streaming on Facebook, when they first came on and were streaming it, it was only like a very small part of the house that was on fire. So what it looked like is they could have gotten in and probably gotten these little boys out, and they didn't. And oh, that was horrible. That was horrible. And it was, I don't know if you guys heard about the house explosion in the city of Flint. That was my neighborhood. A little 3-year-old girl got caught in the house. They found out it was, again, a bad landlord and Consumers Energy not keeping an eye on their equipment. There was a gas leak, and it blew up their house and 3 other houses. It took the life of the little 3-year-old little girl that was there. And then next door, there was a woman that was asleep in bed. She was like in her 60s. It took her life. And then there was another gentleman that was next door, that, or like behind them, I think it was, that it took his life too. And that was, yeah, it was from, what did they say? It was, actually, I don't know that it ever came out, because all of that stuff was also happening during the height of the water crisis. That happened. And there was a big deal with trying to get Consumers Energy to say what their findings were, because they were trying to find out, was the leak from the line that led into the house, or was it like the water heater or the furnace that was in the basement? But it leveled all 3 of those houses in that little area. And it was like just astonishing at the power of that. And we never did hear from Consumers what the findings of their investigation was. And I think it was the grandmother was trying to get them to take responsibility for some, trying to take some responsibility for what happened. And thank goodness. Now, it's heartbreaking that 3-year-old little girl passed away, but she had other brothers and sisters that were staying like I think they were staying at like grandma's that night or their dad's or something like that. And so they weren't in the house somehow by some miracle. They were not in the house that night. It was just the mom, the dad, and the little girl. And it broke my heart because when I lived in that neighborhood, I drove by that house every day to get out and get on the expressway and go to work. But it's another one of those things where it didn't affect the people that majority of people thought were important enough. And so, because that neighborhood became very, very poverty stricken, very, very full of rental houses that were not taken care of. Just sad. It's in that whole, in the middle of that neighborhood, there was some developer came in, built these $150,000 houses, which it's not that much. That's not expensive at all when it comes to houses now, right? But they built this in the middle of a city of Flint neighborhood that houses were only selling for $12,000. And then now there's that whole neighborhood that's just sitting there with nobody living in it, and trees and literally a whole huge area of woods gone for nothing, for crackheads to go in there and party and do whatever, and these gorgeous houses that never sold. Oh, like I said, I was never so glad to get out of that neighborhood. We were one of the 2 last families that lived on that block that actually owned our homes, and the last straw was when I was home with my little boy, and my dad was sick and in the hospital, and we were going to get ready to go up to the hospital in Detroit to go see him. And we heard noise outside, and so it sounded like firecrackers, and I'm almost done. I got to go to bed soon. And my ex-husband looks outside the front window, and he's like, get the baby and go get in the very back room of the house. He's like, get on the floor, sit down, and don't come out until I tell you. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Well, apparently next door, this is how we met our new neighbor next door. It was a, what do you call it? It was a math lab. And they were selling out of that. And somebody had gotten in a fight and started, shooting. And that's how we found out what our next door neighbor's name was. And so I said, that's it. We're gone. We moved back to Walnut Grove. Yeah, it is. It's going to be 2 a.m. here in a few minutes, and I got to get up. And I have to be strong enough to deal with teenager eye rolls at 6 a.m. Yikes, And oh yeah, only these guys weren't as intelligent as the Breaking Bad guys. They were literally firing down a driveway this was like moments before the elementary schools in our neighborhood got out. And there was like 4 elementary schools in our neighborhood. There were little pilot schools. And so there was kids walking in 10 minutes after that, lots of kids walking around. So again, another miracle. But good night, Doug. Have a good night. Sweet dreams. Truth Warrior, I will let you know the tea. Tomorrow you're gonna die. You're welcome, Wyoming. Thanks for coming in. And I'm gonna figure out this mod thing. I do not know why it's being such a jerk. So I'll figure it out. But so yeah, and I will try to keep up to date. Tomorrow's Thursday. I'm not sure when I'll be able to come on. If I'll be able to come on, I will try my hardest. But and I will keep looking for updates. You guys do the same, and we'll meet back here again, and we'll figure this out somehow, some way. We'll at least get it out of our brains, right? So, and also, please, like I said before, I'm trying to grow my channel, and I appreciate all you guys. You guys are awesome. So please, if you would be so kind, hit the thumbs up button for me. hit the subscribe button for me and the notification bell so that you know when we go live again, and you can come back and hang out and have great talks and great laughs and all the things. So, all right, everybody. Good night. Sweet dreams. Peace, love, and claws, y'all. Good night. I could charge my phone too. Thanks, Wyoming. Have a good one, guys. Good night.